come, people go, winds of change, they will always blow. Don't be sad, you're not the only one. When you serve your time, your train will come. Some will fall, some will fly, some will just let life pass them by. Don't be sad, you're not the only one. When you serve your time, your train will come. And when you hear that whistle blow, you better be ready, ready to go. When you hear those wheels coming round the bend, better take your chance, won't happen again. Don't be sad, you're not the only one. When you serve your time, your train will come. By one, side by side, down those rails of steel we will ride. Don't be sad, you're not the only one. When you serve your time, your train will come. And when you hear that whistle blow, you better be ready, ready to go. When you hear those wheels coming round the bend, better take your chance, won't happen again. Don't be sad, you're not the only one. Serve your time, your train will come. When you serve your time, your train will come.
It's so good to be back. My new favorite club across the country is Callahan's. So we came to play. Oh my God.
It's always sands and tweeterings to the ocean to mark where England's province stands. Such a parcel of rogues in a nation. Argyle could not subdue through many war like ages is wrought now by a coward few for hire like traitors' wages. Now English steel we could disdain, secure in Valor's station, but English gold has been our bane, such a parcel of rogues in a nation. Oh, would our eye had seen the day that treason thus could sell us. My old grey head has lain in clay with Bruce and loyal Wallace. But death and power till my last hour I'll make this declaration. We're bought and sold for English gold, such a parcel of rogues in a nation. Such a parcel of rogues in a nation. Such a parcel of rogues in a nation.
All right, for all those hound dogs out there, we're rocking at the Mississippi Delta Blues Festival tonight. Oh yeah, straight from the Snake Pit Studios. We love animals. We're big animal lovers here. And we're gonna play you Scrapyard Dog. Sunday morning, whiskey stain on your breath. Alone. Oh, hello, hello, hello. You know that song, isn't it? That's our theme song called The Truth. The guitar played by Francesco Arcuso. Listen. Welcome to Live Talking Blues, another week of our sharing the blues. And let me tell you, in the Live Talking Blues virtual studio this week is an English blues guitarist, songwriter, and singer. He has performed all over the world, from the bars in Texas to the main stage in Glastonbury. Let me tell you now, Mark Knopfler said that he offers more than just your average slide guitar player. Would you please welcome out of the green room, Kevin Brown? Come on in, Kevin. Let me see where we get you here. There we are. What's going on, babe?
What is going on?
Hey.
What in my little house here? Not much.
What's going on in Kevin's world?
In Kevin's world? Well,
it's happening, isn't it?
Oh,
it's all
man,
going on.
man. Where do you want me to start?
I want you to start, please. Let's go back. Let's go back to Preston in Lancashire. You were a young lad learning to play guitar. How old were you when you first picked it up? About teenager or under or over?
Well, I was. I think I was about 12.
Oh, that's quite young, isn't it?
Like all the other kids on my street.
Yeah.
I spent most of my time playing football, pretending we were all pretending we were Tom Finney, you know.
Okay, he was the main guy at the time.
He was a main guy. He was an amazing man who played for Preston North End, and there's many stories about him. He was an artist, you know, in the way he played, and he was very humble. He had a lot of characteristics that you will find in Lancashire. We were all very.
What is that, like a robust? What do you mean by characteristics? Like,
he was very understated. He was shy. He had
humble.
He was very unassuming.
Mm-hmm.
He was the opposite of being big-headed.
Yeah.
You know, if you were loud and mouthy, it didn't really go down very well in Lancashire.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud actually to be from there, from the Northwest. I stayed there till I was 18 years old.
Okay.
It was a really good grounding for me.
Did you have a band there?
Well, I did actually. Yeah. The first I joined a band. I was asked to join a band in probably about 1965.
Mm-hmm.
And the Stones were becoming really popular, and there was a kind of a Stones cover band in my little village. I moved to Preston into Bamber Bridge, which is about 4 miles away. And in that little village were a group of guys who all worked at Leyland Motors. They all had hair down to their waist. And one day they knocked on the back door of my house. And my father answered the door and he nearly fainted. He couldn't.
Did you have long hair?
Me, I was.
Oopsie. Sorry,
And,
we've got a little bit of delay. Go ahead.
Yeah, they said, "Is Kevin in?" You know, and he said, "Why? What do you want him for?" You know. So that they were called The Link. I should have sent you a picture of that, shouldn't I?
That would have been great. Well, we can get that up. Maybe we'll find it somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, and then just before I left Preston, I had a little trio called After the Rain.
I like that name.
Yeah, I think we must have named that after that famous Muddy Waters album, or was it Freddie King? Can't quite remember. I think it was Muddy Waters. Yeah, but that was just before I left Preston to to begin my further education at Dortington Hall and Royal College.
Yeah, we'll get there. I want to ask you this because it seems so cathartic when I heard you talk about this story, and then when I saw the video, I just thought, oh my God, it does happen. This is why I'll explain myself in a minute, but this is why I love doing live talking blues because. Okay, let me start from the beginning. Let me calm down. Okay, right. Okay. When you were young, something happened. You were walking in town with your dad, and you heard a particular artist playing slide guitar. You were sitting with your dad, watching it on black and white TV, and you're watching this TV show, and you said it was a life-changing moment, and that's one of the things that helped you to decide to play guitar. Now, do you know what I'm talking about? You were watching a TV show with your dad.
My father was watching it. I was in the front room.
I see.
We were fortunate enough to have 2 rooms and a kitchen downstairs. You know, so and that front room became my salvation, in that I could escape there. In later years and do what I had to do, i.e. learn, you know. But I was sitting in there. I probably had a guitar for about a year, and my father was in the back room watching Granada television, and he shouted out to me, "Come and see this." And it was a live broadcast from a railway station near Manchester, the American Folk Blues Festival. And I walked in there, and on the television screen, larger than life, was Muddy Waters.
Oh my gosh.
Playing his Telecaster with a bottleneck, with a fantastic little band, a really tight, beautiful little combo of piano, bass and drums and Muddy Waters. And they were broadcasting from the platform of a disused railway station near Manchester. And that sound that I heard then, well, I'd never heard slide guitar before. I'd never really seen, a black blues artist performing, and I'd never heard that vocal style. I've never heard the style of that band. It was so powerful, and what was so beautiful was it was actually very gentle.
Yeah.
It had a real sort of medicinal effect on me.
Amazing.
And his guitar, everything about it just put me in the most wonderful state of mind. And I knew then that, my Lord, if I could ever, do this myself, what a wonderful headspace to be in.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And that has remained with me all of my life.
Of course.
And in fact, the band that I have now, Shackdusters, sounds just like that moment in 1964. Yes. I've never strayed from that moment of inspiration. I've never wanted to play rock blues. I've never wanted to play rock. Wow. So it's really,
that's true. Yeah. That's a true bluesman. Yeah, and I love the fact that this was it 1965, you say?
1964.
64.
That's correct, yeah.
And that was on Manchester, Granada TV, Manchester 3. Now that was, there were probably only a few channels, but my point is they had blues on major television stations. We don't do that today. This is why we have live talking blues, because we used to call it live talking blues TV. We took that off, but we want to be able to put blues back onto the television where people miss it. And even the young ones need to learn from it, I believe.
Wow. Well.
Should we have a look at the video?
Wow.
Should we look at the video?
Which
Just 1 second, Patsy. One second, Patsy. Don't let me give you the cue. Give me 1 second. Okay, we've got the video. I think this is the video that inspired you.
And this is a railway station. And I think that the more popular one people have seen is Sister Rosetta Thorpe playing in that same concert. Is that correct?
Sure is, yeah. She was part of that tour.
That's right, that's right.
Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee were also on it. But this clip is exactly what I saw.
Exactly.
And it's, very powerful.
And I just want to say, last week, we with Mississippi McDonald, we played with Sister Rosetta Thorpe. We had that on. So it's amazing that we didn't plan it this way, but we're going to go ahead. Patsy, why don't you play that clip for us, please? Let's have a look at this.
Sweet little girl, lose my baby boy, ain't that bad? Sweet little girl, I lose my baby boy, ain't that bad? You can't lose what you ain't got. You can't spend something that you ain't never had. Had money in the bank, I got busted, boys, ain't that bad. Had money in the bank, I got busted, boys, ain't that bad. You can't spend what you ain't got. Can't lose what you ain't never had. Got point down, boys, ain't that bad. My own fault. People, ain't that sad. You can't spend what you ain't got. You can't lose something that you ain't never had.
I love it. Absolutely gorgeous. I was just thinking, can you imagine recreating that? Just maybe in a theatrical stage, have all that backdrop, and then have the bands play against that backdrop. So it's more theatrical. It's more, I've got some, oh gosh, that would be absolutely amazing. Kevin, what did that feel like when you told me it was an amazing point for you? Listening to that voice, you'd never heard a voice like Muddy Waters, or probably even seen anyone like him. And what did it sound like to you?
See, up until then, most kids in England, we'd all learned, a lot of us had learned from a book called Playing a Day, written by Bert Wheaton, and
okay.
A lot of us aspired to Hank Marvin in the Shadows, and
I see.
And everything was very neat and organized and tidy. Mm-hmm. And of course, this came along, and it struck a totally different chord amongst all of us in the country at the time that were learning guitar. It's exactly what a lot of us wanted to hear. And what we were hearing here for the first time in our lives was space, where you could each instrument occupied its own piece of space so that you could hear it beautifully.
Exactly.
And we weren't used to that. This is the first time we'd seen this kind of art,
Yes.
you know, being performed by the masses, by somebody who, I mean, Muddy Waters would listen to Robert Johnson, whose records were being played on the radio at the time.
Yes.
You know, and interestingly, so Muddy would be listening to Robert, and Robert was one of the first blues artists to learn some of his material from records.
Oh, yes, of course.
Which is why he had the range. This is why his range of music spread all the way across from Common in My Kitchen to Hellhound on My Trail, and all the beautiful ballads and the melodic things and the rhythmic things, is because he was able to study you know, other American artists at the time, and put the needle back on at the beginning. I believe he did a lot of that at Ike Zimmerman's place, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But so there's that great sense of space in that band. Yeah, a lovely sense of lightness, which it allows me to think. It's not ramming anything down my throat. It's just giving me the opportunity to float off, you know, in my own little world. And there's so many different. There's a lot of aspects to. There's many blues artists, and we're all different, you know.
Oh yes, because you have your own stories, you have your own blues in your soul. It comes from within. So of course you would have. That's what I love about the blues artists, because when you see them, even visually and audio, they have a characteristic about them that's very individual. You know, they've walked in their own shoes, and they're telling their own stories with a common, sometimes a type of common underlay there, you know.
What's interesting about that what you just said about each having their own voice, is that once I'd heard Muddy Waters, and I knew that was it. You know, I knew what I had to do. There was nothing else in my life that was going to, you know. I did continue to draw and paint, and became an art teacher years later. But all the time, this need, this flame always burned. And interestingly, getting back to what you said, sitting in my front room, for those years after witnessing Muddy Waters, listening to Son House, listening to Robert Johnson, listening to Sonny Terry, listening to them all, you know what? They all became my friends. I had a personal relationship with these people, because they were singing from the heart. They were connecting with me. Quite often I'd be listening to one voice and one guitar, you know, and they were my mates. They gave me salvation. Because you know, life wasn't too good sometimes, you know, for many different reasons. And boy, they helped me escape. And that was an important factor, wasn't it? You know, here's another great reason to get involved in this kind of music, because there is your salvation, just as it was for them. Yeah. I've lost you. I've lost you. Now I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
testing, Kevin. Can you hear me?
Just about.
Oh my goodness, really? Let me try to turn on my microphone. Testing, Kevin. Can you hear me? Oh my gosh, Kevin.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Yeah, fine. You know what happened, Kevin?
Listen to me. You are a tiny, tiny voice. To hear you, I have to get right up.
Oh my gosh. Why is that happening? Because we were fine for a minute, weren't we?
Yeah, I know, but listen, this whole
technology. Listen, okay, if you want, can you hear me? If you want, we'll finish the video off and then we'll try to get your volume. Okay? Let's play the video and then I'm going to telephone you.
No, wait a minute.
Wait, okay.
I'm going to rejoin. I'm going to start again.
Okay, video. Okay, that's great. Okay, go ahead. Yeah. All right, then. Sorry about that, guys. Go ahead there, Patsy. Watermelon Slim on there, yeah?
Oh,
Watermelon Slim. Oh, yes. I met him in Oklahoma. Absolutely. Go. Him and Miss Blues, I met in Oklahoma and did a little bit of performance with them. Can you hear me okay now?
I can hear you, but we must not move any further forward without going back 10 seconds to Watermelon Slim.
What, on the video?
No, just to talk about him.
Oh, yes, of course. Okay, we won't go any further because I've got to talk about something else, but we talk about Watermelon Slim at the moment, yes.
So, I can almost count on the fingers of one hand. Those people who are at the top of the pole for me, mm-hmm. and he is one of them. Mm-hmm. And I made a short video called The Grave of Robert Johnson.
Yes. And
I used Slim's, one of his hollers, as a soundtrack. And he was another big inspiration. I opened up for him in London.
Where at?
Oh, I can't remember, but
okay.
My friend John Adams, who
he was at the Blues Kitchen a few years ago. I saw him at the Blues Kitchen a few years ago.
It might have been there. It might have been there. Yeah. But anyway, great artist. Fabulous.
Absolutely.
Fabulous.
Oh, I absolutely love him. I've got he gave me a couple of his albums. I love them. Yeah. And he's one of those people who has that character, talk like that. I love his draw and just his energy. He is just who he is. He is his energy. He is his own blues person who sings from his heart, lets the blues is in him. He is singing this genre of music. It is a part of his life. It isn't anything put on. That's who he is.
Well,
that's what it is.
Just the reason that he lives in Clarksdale is a good reason enough to go there. You know, just to hear Slim. And there's there's a lot of other great reasons to visit.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway.
Like, okay, I want to go back to Portobello Road. Okay. Now, you said you learned the emotional power of simple words. The emotional power of simple words. This is someone that was singing the blues who taught you this particular energy, I guess you might want to call it. You were on Portobello Road playing, and this gentleman befriended you. He was here in London playing. His name.
Yeah. Well, that was Sunhouse.
Sunhouse.
That was Sunhouse. He was on his last tour of the UK. I'd hitchhiked down that Sunday morning from Bamber Bridge because it was very easy to get from there to the heart of London. People did give you lifts then, especially if you were carrying a guitar. So I would arrive at Portobello Road about midday, and I had a National, a wooden-bodied Trojan, I believe it was, and I was playing away, and a guy came up to me and he said, "Do you know any songs by Sunhouse?" And you know, only the night before I was sitting in that front room trying to learn some of his material, but I had to give up because it's so idiosyncratic. I had to walk away from that task of trying to learn Sunhouse.
Was it just a feeling that you couldn't grasp, or was it a technical thing? What was it that
I just didn't feel comfortable? I thought I can't really go here, you know, because this is too deep. This is too deep.
Pretty amazing.
This man is recalling experiences that I mean, I'm, you know, 17 years old, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Man, I can't. I just didn't feel comfortable.
No, I understand.
And lo and behold, I'm sat there. He said, do you know any songs by Sunhouse? And I went, man, I'm trying. You know, I would last night even. He said, that's a shame, because he's standing right behind me. And my God, outstepped Sunhouse and stood before me, 4 feet away from me. I mean, this was a moment.
Yes.
This was a moment.
Oh my God.
And I was so humbled that that they actually invited myself and my good friend Stuart Fiddis if we would look after Sunhouse for the afternoon. And that was Dick Waterman, his manager, who went on to manage Bonnie Raitt.
Yes.
I was so humbled. You know, well, can you imagine?
Did you take any pictures? I mean, you wouldn't take any pictures back then, would you? I mean, I never did back in the early days.
But what we did was we found a small bar, and that's where we remained, nice and quiet, you know. And he scratched his name into that National guitar. And many years later, I sold that guitar to Mickey Moody. And I'm trying to find Mickey because I'm writing my memoirs at the moment, and I'd love to get a shot of that guitar as it is now.
Absolutely.
I hope he's still got it. Yeah.
When do you plan to release your memoirs? Are you still just in the working?
Yeah, memoirs are for next year to coincide with my theatre tour. It's called the Lucky Man Tour. After a song I wrote.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
I consider myself to be incredibly lucky.
Great song.
Yeah.
Now, so some of your influences, I mean, so you had Lead Belly, Skip James, Robert Johnson. They were all quite influential in your
very
coming
much
into
so.
the blues. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it incredible that that those people that I got really close to in the front room, you know, had such a powerful effect on the rest of my life. And they remained with me. I didn't veer from it, you know, even to the extent of I just had to go to Mississippi in the end.
Yeah,
you know?
but before that, you went to Austin, Texas, didn't you?
Yeah. So
did you go there before Mississippi? Huh?
I did.
Yeah,
Austin,
you lived in Austin, Texas, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, yeah.
Is that where you worked as an art teacher? Was that in Texas?
No.
Okay.
I went to art college at Dartington Hall. Then I went to teachers training college at Royal College.
Yeah, I missed that bit. Yeah. We got a little.
Then I had a year off, traveled around Europe busking, which was a whole other book there, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And I got a job in a middle school in Ealing, teaching drawing and painting in the afternoon, and in the morning I taught maths and English to my children, my class. And in fact, what I did was quite hadn't been done before. I taught these 10 and 11-year-old children the same foundation course that I was taught when I was 17, and they could all do it.
Was this like the late 70s?
Yes. Hang on. It was 74 to 78.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So these kids ended up with this. I mean, all the teachers in the school were handpicked for their strength. So
what do you mean strength in teaching?
So, yeah, their teaching strength. So we had a great history teacher who just taught history to the children in the afternoon. Yeah. A great English teacher, a maths teacher. I was the art teacher. So each child got a really good, highly detailed, deep education. Yeah. In these subjects. It was, I had a great time, but by 1978, the musical calling was so great.
And is that when you decided to turn professional?
Yes, and I left London. I left London with a very bad broken heart.
Oh, well, it happens.
and I went. I visited my friend again, Stuart, who was there with me when we met Sun House. I visited him in Bath, in a little village called Shoscombe, and they had a little self-sufficiency outfit going, and a spare room came up. So I decided I really liked Bath.
I do too.
It was a great vibe.
Yeah.
Because not only was it visually stimulating, there were some really creative people there doing their own thing.
Yes.
And there's a special area of Bath called Walcott Street, full of sort of artists and people who were thinking of outside the box, you know. And it's still like that today. I'm very lucky to have found Bath, I tell you. Yeah. So that was, I moved there in 78.
78,
And I actually.
But by 1982, there was a record producer who heard you playing. And I think shortly after that, you signed and you released your first debut album. Does that make any? Can you remember that?
So I left the self-sufficiency project just a few miles out of Bath, moved into Bath, got myself my own little place, and began to try and make my dream come true.
Yes.
So I started to write. It was Sun House that encouraged me to start writing. Okay.
Oh, I see.
And also, it was also Sun House that insisted that each of my songs had a different kind of groove. Yeah. So they would be more easily identifiable, although they all sound the same. So I set about writing,
So you released Roadhouse Dreams on Hannibal Records.
I set about writing, and I recorded 2 demos in Bath, and I hawked them around London. And at the time, there was a very successful band called the Boomtown Rats. And they were with a small label called Ensign Records. And they were looking for some more new artists.
Yes.
And I walked in there, played them what I had, and they liked it, and they signed me.
Excellent.
I went and I made a record for them.
Well, let's have a look at this video. This video, it gives a little bit of example of your what inspired you, what your writing style, how it started, I guess. We didn't play that, did we? No, we did play that. That was the Clarksdale one. See, I got thrown off now. That was the one I wanted to play to talk about your writing. And never mind. But
I hadn't quite finished because it's important.
Okay, let's have it. Not right now, Patsy, please. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I made the demos, signed with Ensign. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Oh, yeah. Signed with Ensign Records, made a record for them, with hand-picked musicians, and it didn't work. It was never released. So
wow,
I had to start all over again.
Yes,
by going into the studios in Bath with my friends, recording more tracks, and eventually I put the record out myself. I was on the Enterprise Allowance Scheme, which was a government grant to help me release things.
Yeah.
And to get to your point,
yes,
I didn't want to release it myself. I sent copies of it to various people, but nobody picked up on it, so I had to release it myself on my label. But I did get a phone call from this guy. He said, "I've just found your tape on my desk. This is fantastic. I'd like to release it." I said, "Well, you're too late. You're too late, because I've released it on my Doodah Records label." He said, "Well, how many have you sold?"
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, about 10, you know." So, and that person was Joe Boyd.
Yes.
Who became, a pretty heavy mentor to me for the first 4 or 5 years of my recording career. And Joe then repackaged that record. We added a couple more tracks, and he released it on Hannibal Records as Road Dreams.
As Road Dreams. Okay, it all ties together now. Yes, thank you for that. Because it's lovely when you hear it coming from the horse's mouth, because I'm trying to see the whole picture. But yes, exactly. I see it now.
Good.
And Road Dreams was released, and so you had other musicians. Well, by 1998. Well, put it back from there, and then from there. Now it's hard for me to remember all these things, so I have to look at my notes. There's no point in me trying to say. So what followed after Road Dreams followed Rust. That's correct.
So Joe sponsored the following record, okay, which was Rust, which is I'm very proud of. Again, like Road Dreams, it featured my friends in Bath. It featured local studios.
Yeah.
But it had all these things about me, in them. These things that I love, and I had complete control,
of course,
over the recording process, over the musicians, over the way it sounded, and so forth and so forth.
That was Road Dreams, yeah.
Very lucky, and the reason I had complete control is because Joe Boyd had faith in me.
Exactly,
he allowed me to do that.
Yes.
Okay. Which is one of his great aspects of him. I love him to death. Thank you, Joe, wherever you are. And on the strength of those 2 records, I was then signed to Chrysalis.
Yes. Now, Russ was nominated for best album of the year.
Yeah. Best British Blues album.
Yes, exactly.
Came last.
Well, you signed to Chrysalis Records afterwards.
Yeah.
That was a big label back then. Wasn't it Blondie was on Chrysalis once upon a time as well? They were a huge record label, weren't they? They must have merged with someone else since then.
Well, I actually made, I made another record for Joe. I made a third one for him called Sunny Side Up. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Which is just slide guitar instrumentals.
That's right. Yeah.
And the week I delivered that for Joe, Joe's label was bought out by Rykodisc.
Yes.
So Rykodisc saw this record and they didn't want it. So it got shelved. But years later, Joe found 1,000 of them in a warehouse. And he gave them to me,
What'd you do with him?
He was a sweetheart. So that was my first disappointment, really. But nevertheless, I did get signed then to Chrysalis. Made a great record under Peter Van Hook, who produced it for me. And he chose all the musicians. We had Paul Carrack, Pete Thomas on drums, and various bass players. Made a great record, and the week we delivered that to Chrysalis, they were bought out by EMI.
I see. That's what
who shelved that record. So
well,
by this time I was getting a bit fed up.
I understand, of course.
So I decided to start my own label then, and that's how Doodah Records really began.
And you're still running Doodah at the moment?
Yes, ma'am.
These days, yeah. So tell me a bit about Mojave Dust and the artist that you played with on that one.
So here we are. Here I
2001.
am. Here I am, newly married.
Wow. Okay.
Just being dropped by Chrysalis.
Lovely.
With an album that nobody wanted, which was great, produced by Peter Van Hook.
I understand. I know. That's heartbreaking.
Thinking, what am I going to do now?
Yes.
And by this time, I'd become fascinated with going back to my roots and the sound of the Delta, the slide guitar. And I thought, well, a way forward would be to make a record just on my own, just voice and guitar.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't cost me much to make it. I bought a Revox stereo tape recorder.
Yes.
I was loaned an old Coles ribbon microphone. And that was it, apart from stereo preamp loaned to me by Charlie Jones. So it was one microphone, a preamp, straight into the Revox reel-to-reel tape recorder.
Exactly.
One microphone. So I would move the microphone. If the voice was too loud, I'd bring the microphone down towards the guitar. If it was too in your face, I'd move the microphone back and get the room in. And that taught me so much about recording.
Yes.
And that's how I made that record. And I tell you what, so it's all live, but some songs would take weeks. I would do them over and over and over.
Of course.
Because sometimes the door would creak or a car horn would go off, or the telephone would go off. Oh, but I tell you what, the feeling when you knew that you had it, you got to the end of the song.
Oh God, yes.
And you knew
it's a great feeling.
And you knew that there was nothing else to do. It was done. It was.
That's an amazing feeling, isn't it?
The adrenaline. Yeah.
How do we know this? It's just an instinct. It's a universe. It's something that you get from the universe. I mean, it just feels right. You can't explain it any other way, but it feels right. That's what everything should be like in life. Even love should feel right. You should know.
Well, it feels right because there's from when you start to listen to it back till when you get to the end of listening to it back, there's nothing that sticks out at you. There's nothing that everything is in tune. The tempo is good. But that just didn't come. That took days, And what people don't realize is a lot of things that sound just natural and organic, you know. In my case, it takes hours to get it to sound like that, you know.
Yes, of course. Of course.
Yeah. So that was Mojave Dust. And that was a record that Mort Knopfler heard.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and he wanted to find out a bit more about who this person was. He also heard the record that I made for Chrysalis that was shelved as they were taken over by EMI. He heard that as well. And on the strength of those two records, he then contacted my manager at the time. And then I was invited to work on Mort's first solo album. First solo album,
brilliant. So you went on, and during the 90s and the 2000s, you toured. Was that with Mark?
What were those dates again?
During the 90s and the 2000s, you toured, and you even played Glastonbury at that time. During the 1990s, early 2000s.
So I released Mojave Dust.
Yes.
The beauty of releasing that was that when you booked me, you knew exactly what you were getting.
Okay.
Because it was like a live performance, this record, you know. So I had a really great period whereby when people bought the record at the end of the gig, they knew exactly what they were getting. And when they got home, that was it, you know. So I followed that up with Tin Church, done the same way. So during that time, Kat, I was constantly just gigging. I don't. Do you know, Kat? I think I've done one tour in my life.
Okay.
A proper tour, you know.
Yeah, but this is gigging constantly.
And that was a support act for Robin Ford, I believe. So my whole life has been a tour, really. You know, I've just kept playing and never stopped playing. But they've never been back to back, you know.
Yeah.
But next year will be different. We have a tour lined up next year.
Great.
To coincide with my new release and the book. And I got some great exciting ideas about how that's going to take place. It will be a multimedia performance.
Okay. Yeah. Before we go there, I want to go back not back a step, but I want to talk about this instrument, and I want to play this video called "The Wave." You play this. Tell me a little bit about this guitar called the Weissenborn. Is it German made? It's a slide guitar, isn't it?
The luthier that designed and built it was German.
I see. Okay.
And he had a workshop not far away from Los Angeles. He would visit Hawaii, as many of them did, and saw the Hawaiians playing their regular guitars flat on their knee, which they were already tuned to an open chord, because that was part of their culture. And he realized that, wow, I could improve matters for them, you know. And he went home and designed this shape, and then went back to Hawaii and presented it with them, and they fell in love with it, and they virtually adopted it as their native instrument along with the ukulele.
Let's have a little listen to it. I'm curious to see what this sounds like. Patsy, can you turn that up, please? This is called "The Wave." I'm having a few problems sometimes. I didn't touch my microphone, but it's gone. Here we are. Kevin, did you write that?
Yeah. Did I write it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm sorry, guys. I swear I didn't touch my microphone. That's the second time it's happened, but the microphone cuts itself off. And I even went over to the comments page and I didn't do it. Anyway, technology. There's a few gremlins in the technology today. So you went from playing Kevin, you played the slide acoustic guitar, and then you picked up the Weissenborn. Am I saying that right? Weissenborn guitar as well.
So through listening to the likes of John Fahey, Fred McDowell,
mm-hmm.
and so forth, I studied bottleneck guitar. Mm-hmm. Playing a guitar regular mm-hmm. with a slide. And then a friend of mine dropped off a Hawaiian electric lap steel guitar to me one day. Good old Henry.
Yeah.
And I became fascinated because I love Hawaiian music. Really, really.
Beautiful.
Again, it helps me escape and it gives me a space in which I can mm-hmm. recover and gather my thoughts. And I became intoxicated with this sound. So I learned a few different Hawaiian tunings. And I was naturally then led to the Weissenborn.
Weissenborn, yeah.
Weissenborn. Yeah. Because that was easy to travel with, because it had its own sound. It was acoustic.
Exactly, yeah.
And I made a great record with Gary Rudd called Home and Dry.
Yes.
Again,
mm-hmm.
live recordings, just Gary on guitar and myself on Weissenborn. And Gary and I had a great time touring Britain.
And you're going to include all this in your book and your memoirs. It'll be out next year, isn't it? Later in the year, I guess it is. Oh, yeah. Fantastic. While we're talking about that, let's jump a little bit forward to 2015. And the album was called Grit, produced by Neville Farmer.
Yeah.
Ah, yes. What a brilliant person. He's a very talented person in his own right. Absolutely.
Well, I'm very lucky to live where I live.
Yes, I know.
Which is a small town just outside of Bath.
Uh-huh.
There are some very.
Did you record that live? Sorry. You recorded that album live?
Not as live as the last one, not as live as Six Strings and a Dream, but pretty close to it, you know.
Yes.
But yeah, so Neville Farmer produced that. It was my return to a full band situation.
Mm-hmm.
Using people in the area, using studios in the area.
Mm-hmm.
And Neville was the perfect guy to produce it because he knew me well. He knew exactly what my intentions were.
Mm-hmm.
And Rob Bozas was also a great help in making that record.
Both amazing men. Yes,
yeah,
I love them both. Is that the album that you paid homage to? The Battle of the Alamo. Was that?
Yes, I believe it was. Was that Lancashire Blood on a Texas Floor? Yes,
that's it. Yeah.
That's right. And in fact, the band on Grit was my road band at the time, and still is today. You know, there were some guests on there that I still work with. So
they make up the Shack Dusters, which is your band right now.
Exactly.
Now you're going to be touring with the Shack Dusters, yeah, and releasing your book.
We haven't decided yet on how best to take this concept. It's a concept I have. How best to take it on the road, because it involves film, back projection, stories, real live objects. You know, sort of. So it's very immersive, and it's something that I spend every day working on and writing, so it's very much a multimedia event. We're going to figure out the best way of representing my thoughts musically and how to do that.
Now, are you going to do Lucky Men on the road?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Should we have a little look at the video?
Yes, please.
Patsy, can you put that up, please? Can you put up Lucky Man? I love this one. You guys have a look at this. So cool.
I'm a lucky man. I don't cry. Lord, I'm lucky. I don't cry. Sometimes I wonder how some folks survive. I'm a lucky man. I got what I need. Lord, I'm lucky. I got what I need. Sometimes I just wonder how some folks are gonna succeed. Food on the table, a roof on my head. Shoes on my feet, I got a pillow on my bed. I'm a lucky man. I got what. a lucky man. I've had an easy life. I'm a lucky man. I've had an easy life. Sometimes I wonder how, Lord, some folks survive. Food on the table, a roof on my head. Shoes on my feet, pillow on my bed. I'm a lucky man. I've had an easy life.
Yes. You are grateful.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
definitely a lucky man, huh?
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
If one can just grasp that. I was talking to a friend this morning about that kind of similar thing, about the blessings and also living in the moment, not going too far behind, not going too far forward as well. You know, just being pleased and recognizing what you have and where you've come from and what you've gone through and possibly where you're going. Why do you feel lucky?
My friends, where I live, all the people I've met in my life,
Blessing.
the opportunities I've had. Luckily, born I was born drunk. It saved me a lot of money. You know.
I love that.
Lucky to have a third eye here. That's kind of enabled me to sense trouble, know when not to go down somewhere, you know, and to spot danger and to spot things that just don't feel right and kind of steer myself away from them. I'm very lucky to have that. A lot of people, some people don't have that, and they kind of walk straight into it,
right into a wall, right into a wall.
Yeah,
and wonder what you're doing, but they just they don't listen. Well,
so yeah, lucky to have had my parents. You know, just what can I say? You know, I always try and explain it in a way that this is why I'm lucky, because none of us have any control over the situation that we're born into. We are just born, and you just cross your fingers that you're not born into a war zone or into famine or into a hellhole. You know, we have no control over that. You must try not to judge people, because often you know, what can I say?
You can't judge. You shouldn't judge anyone.
Yeah.
You don't know from whence they came, you know, you have to let them be.
And isn't that why why you and I are lucky that, you know, we just
completely
born into the good circumstances.
Indeed. Kevin, why don't we it's been so nice talking with you, and I feel so enriched, and I feel like I've been fed, and I thank you for that. And I just want people to find out where they can and find your music and find you. What's your website where they can?
Well, firstly, thank you for having me on, Kat. Very, very much.
Our pleasure. Oh, let's say hello to Patsy there.
Yeah, and thank you, Patsy,
Thank you, Patsy.
You were showing me. Thank you, Patsy. You were showing me around your studio early, Kat, and
Yes.
I can see how much love and effort and time you've devoted yourself to helping people.
We love it.
And I'm very, very grateful. Thank you.
Yes, thank you all for being there.
My website is kevinbrownsings.com.
Kevin Brown Sings. Yes.
And yeah, you can order all my records from there. I'd like to thank all my little helpers.
Yes.
Kirsty Forbes and
hi, Kirsty. Hey, what's up, girlfriend?
Yeah, and Deborah in New York for helping me out with YouTube.
Exactly.
And Rob Bozas, who's just been awesome in the time I've
been bro Rose.
Yeah.
Rob.
Box is a great community, you know. We're all here Box. To. It's just if you need anything, you just got to pop your head out the door and scream, you know. Help will come. Yeah.
Yeah. We say Box rocks.
And today I have good news. Today I got my 1,000th subscriber on YouTube. Yeah, very pleased.
Well, yeah, it's all about those kind of things. Not it's all about, but it is like fans coming to your gig, you know, in a way. So it's important to have those things where people are following and they'll come to the gigs, and it's create a community around what you do. And it's not being big-headed about it. It would create a community around the music, around the artists, around the food, around the energy. I love that. You know, it's.
Well, Kat, I mean, you're a performer yourself, and
yes, sir.
Don't you think that the most important thing about what we do is that you must connect? Because if you're not connecting, you may as well do something else, you know, because it takes a lot of hard work and effort and energy to put into it. So
it's the best thing, Kevin, isn't it?
So
you can feel it on stage.
To have these 1,000 subscribers now that I connect with is makes it worthwhile, doesn't it?
Yes,
really does.
It does indeed.
Yeah. So thank you, subscribers, wherever you are. Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. And let's say thank you, Kevin. Kevin Brown. Like I said, go to kevinbrownsings.com to subscribe and to get any of his music. Also, don't forget to follow us, Live Talking Blues, on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until then, Kevin, thank you. Thank you, Patsy. Take us home, Patsy.
Come see me in my little grass shed. Come see me in my little grass shed. I got one room and a kitchen and a bathroom out the back. See me, feel the sand beneath your feet. Come see me, feel the sand beneath your feet. We'll stare and wonder out across the sea.
take a stroll down by the shore. We'll wade in the water. Who could ask for more? Can see me